Tanny Cooks here, and today I'm going to show you how to make a very delicious egg and sausage boil. I'm going to show you how to season it up and how to boil and peel the perfect eggs. So let's get to cooking. I have all of my ingredients on my counter, as you can see. I am cooking a dozen eggs today, and I have some veggies like broccoli and I also have lemon. My seasonings are garlic powder, Old Bay, dried parsley, Kingsford lemon pepper brand that is in conjunction with Badia. You can see the label on the front. This is my favorite lemon pepper seasoning. You can pause and see the ingredients. It includes lemon oil, and this really makes a difference. I have onion powder, I have paprika, and I have liquid broth concentrate. This is Food Lion brand. I like this better than buying some of the different broths. This does not contain MSG. I am using umami seasoning. This is from Target. And then I have a red bell pepper and a white onion, and of course my smoked sausage, and it is turkey. You could use a sausage of your choice or leave it out altogether. It really would be good with eggs and veggies. And of course I can't leave out my stick of butter. This is a seafood sauce and it needs butter, of course. So the first thing I'm going to do is wash my produce. So I'm going to wash it with white vinegar and cool water in a bowl. You want to make sure that you move your veggies around. If you have a veggie brush, you can give it a scrub just to make sure everything is nice and clean. Then rinse it off and dry it off. I forgot to show that I have a head of garlic that I'm going to use some of that as well. So I dried my produce and now I'm going to cut it up. And I want to show you my new favorite way to cut a bell pepper. I've been doing it for a while, but basically I cut a wedge out of the bell pepper. And if I'm cutting the whole thing, I will cut it in wedge pieces, like 4. I find cutting this method lets most of the seeds stay inside the pepper and not in the piece that I want to cut. It was just a few out. So I'm going to slice this bell pepper into bite-sized pieces that will be easy to eat with a fork or with my fingers if I eat my egg boil that way, which I'm sure I will. So just small slivers. You can add as much as you want or leave it out. Broccoli, I've been loving broccoli lately. This is a broccoli crown, so it's not much of a stalk. I just cut off the bottom piece, and I'm breaking up the broccoli head parts, I guess you would call it, into wedges and setting it to the side. Now I'm cutting my lemon. Lemon is a must with seafood. It will brighten up the flavor, it will lighten the sauce, and it's a beautiful bright color, so it's nice to look at as well. So I'm just cutting my lemon into 4 wedges. And then I have a white onion. You can use the onion of your choice. And again, I'm just slicing these into pieces similar to the size of my bell pepper. I had this head of garlic, so I'm just going to cut up a few cloves. But instead of doing it by hand, I have this garlic press that I've had for a while but never used. So I'm just cutting the ends off of my garlic cloves, and I'm doing a peel. This may not even be necessary, but I'm doing it. So I'm putting it in the press part, and you just put in the garlic clove and then press the contraption down and it minces it out. Pretty cool. If you have minced garlic in a jar, of course you can use that, but fresh is always better. Now I have my smoked sausage. This will be yummy, and it's a few different ways you can cut it. You can see I was going to start on the diagonal, but I decided to do something different. So now I'm just going to try and cut it in equal sized pieces, and then you'll see what I'm going to do. Basically, I'm just going to kind of cut these in a Hasselbeck type style. You kind of hear that more with potatoes, but I thought it would be kind of fun to do with sausage. So you'll notice for each piece, I'm cutting down 2 or 3 slices, but I'm not cutting all the way through. Look at that. Look at how cute that is. I know I should not get so excited over some sausage, but what can a girl say? It's exciting. So I'm going to do all my pieces of meat the same way. So I have all of my ingredients prepped. I have my veggies, my lemon, and my garlic minced to the side, and my sausages are cut to my liking. Cut yours to your liking. And what we're going to do next is prep our liquid broth concentrate. You can pause it if you wanted to see the nutrition facts, but you can use the broth of your choice. You could use beef or chicken or veggie or seafood stock if you're able to find that. This concentrate is easy. You just mix it with 1 cup of hot water, and then that will be your broth that you'll use. So on my stove, I have 3 pots that I'll need. On the back right eye, which is my favorite, I am putting my sausage in water to let it boil. I am using unsalted butter because that's what I have on hand. If you use salted butter, then you may need to adjust some of your seasonings that contain salt, like Old Bay and lemon pepper. I'm gonna let my butter melt. After a couple of minutes, it has melted. You can see it's foaming up a little bit. I am adding my veggies that I want to soften. So I'm adding my bell pepper and my onion. I have my heat down low because I want my veggies to soften. I don't want them to burn or the butter to burn. So that's just down low. Now I'm adding my eggs to a big pot of plain water. It is on medium-high heat, so it can come up to a boil. The water is a little bit warm already, so I'm just putting my egg on a slotted spoon and then dropping that into the water so I don't burn my fingers. Now, in addition to adding water, I always add white vinegar to my eggs while I let them boil. I know some people use salt, but I'm intentionally trying to use less. While you're doing every step, be sure to keep an eye on your butter so that it doesn't burn. I'm just giving it a quick little stir. As it cools, you will notice some white solids in your butter, and if that bothers you, then you can use ghee instead. My sausage is done, so what I'm going to do is in my 4-quart Pyrex plastic bowl, I'm going to add my sausage and let it sit to the side. I love these glass bowls by Pyrex. They can last for generations. You pass them on and pass them on. And I like this one because it has the lid. It's color coded in the set that I bought. I'll have a link to some similar bowls down below. Now, this water that we boiled our sausage in, we're not going to discard it. We're going to leave that on the stove, and we're going to add our broccoli so that our broccoli can absorb some of that delicious sausage flavor. So I'm going to put my lid on. We're going to be done with this in just a couple of minutes. I have my OXO measuring cup, and I have my 1 cup of tap hot water, and I'm going to add my veggie packet to it. It kind of looks like soy sauce, but it does not contain any soy or MSG. So just use a cup of the broth of your choice. I found this was the perfect amount for the dozen eggs that I made and the vegetables. So I'm stirring with the knife I chopped with because I didn't want to get another spoon and dirty it up. So I love this measuring cup because you can see the measurements while holding the cup. My broccoli is done. As soon as it comes to a boil, I'm going to take it out. It will continue to cook a little bit after you take it out of the water. You definitely don't want to overcook your broccoli. You don't want it to be mushy because the broth we put it in is going to be warm as well. So everything else is cooking. My eggs started to come to a rolling boil, so I turned the heat off, and I put the lid on, and it's going to sit there for 10 to 12 minutes. In the meantime, I'm doing the second step that's going to make these easy to peel. I am getting ice in a mason jar from my ice maker, and I'm putting it in a bowl with cold water to make an ice bath for the eggs when they're finished. So the first step for my boiled eggs is to add vinegar to the water. Second step, when you take them out, put them in an ice bath. This will help the membrane as it cools down to not stick to the egg. So it's a membrane in the shell. And sometimes if that's sticky, it's hard to peel and you get all kind of clumps. But look at how I did my eggs. They all came out just about perfectly. I'm not throwing my shells away. I like to garden, so I use eggshells in my soil. So I have my beautiful dozen eggs, and then I have my eggshells on a paper plate that I'll crunch up and add to my soil later. So now let's start with our seasonings. I'll be using a tablespoon or a teaspoon to measure all of these seasonings. So for my garlic powder, I'm using 1 tablespoon. For my Old Bay, this contains sodium, so I'm going to add 2 teaspoons. And for my lemon pepper, this also contains sodium, so again, I'm just going to use 2 teaspoons. Of course, at the end, you're going to be able to taste this and add more of any seasoning that you want. My onion powder, I'm going to use the teaspoon to measure that, and I'm going to add 2 teaspoons. Because I don't want to overpower the seasoning. So far the main thing I have is garlic. And then I have my paprika. You can use smoked paprika, hot paprika, mild paprika, whatever your personal flavor preference is. I just use 1 teaspoon of that because here it's mostly for color. And my umami, I'm using half a teaspoon because I don't want to overpower anything. So this is the seasoning mix that I'm going to be using with my broth and butter. Very simple, but very delicious flavors. So I have my onion and red bell pepper that have been cooking in the butter. Now I'm adding my dry seasonings to it, and it looks like a lot of dry seasoning, but remember, we're adding broth to it, and we're also adding a dozen eggs and sausage and broccoli, so we need a bit of seasoning. And then I'm squeezing the juice of 1 lemon wedge into the butter sauce as well, and my probably teaspoon of fresh garlic. And I'm going to give this a mix. And it smells so good, and you can see the color deepening already from the different seasonings, the Old Bay and the paprika. Looks so delicious and yummy already. But we're going to let this just continue to cook on low, so we're not trying to scorch it or burn it. And now I'm adding my 1 cup of veggie broth. This, remember, is 1 stick of butter that's in here, so you'll be able to taste the butter, but it's not going to be overly buttery, if that makes any sense. So what I'm going to do now is I have a big bowl. I think I got this bowl from Target. It's like a big pasta serving bowl. And what I'm going to do is add in my ingredients. So I'm adding the broccoli and the sausage that I had sitting to the side. And then I'm just going to add in my eggs. And I decided to just go ahead and add everything to this one big serving bowl because it really was enough space for it all. And I am using my bare hands because it's just for me. I did actually end up sharing it with a family member because 12 eggs is a lot. I tried to eat on it for a couple of days and then I kind of got tired of eggs. So now I'm just mixing, I'm dropping in my butter sauce to the bowl. Look at that, y'all. So it wasn't too much sauce. It's not too little sauce. I am squeezing another wedge of my lemon. I may have said lime earlier, but I am using lemon completely in this, although lime might be interesting. I did wipe the sides of the bowl off, and now for some extra flavor and the presentation, I am adding a generous helping of dried parsley. And look at that, y'all. This is so delicious. It is so beautiful. My Hasselbeck sausages are gorgeous, and this broccoli probably was my favorite thing in this butter sauce, I have to say. And my eggs are perfectly boiled, so thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know if this is a low-carb dish you think you'll try, and let me know some things you might add or subtract from this particular recipe. Thank you so much for watching.